A night of terror, December 2nd, 1984, a date that would forever be etched in the annals of history as one of the darkest nights in human memory. The night of December 2nd, 1984 began like any other in Bhopal, India. The bustling city, known for its vibrant culture and rich history, was winding down as the evening set in. People were returning to their homes after a long day, children were playing in the streets, and the aroma of home-cooked meals filled the air. Families slept peacefully in their homes, unaware of the silent horror that was about to descend upon them. The night was calm, and the city was enveloped in a serene silence, broken only by the occasional bark of a stray dog or the distant hum of a passing vehicle. In the heart of the city, a Union Carbide pesticide plant stood as a beacon of industrial progress. It was a symbol of modernity and economic growth, providing jobs and hope to many. But within its walls, a disaster of unimaginable proportions was brewing, a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. As the clock ticked past midnight, a toxic gas, methyl isocyanate, escaped from a storage tank, silently seeping into the night air. The plant's safety systems failed, and the gas, invisible and deadly, began to spread, carried by the gentle night breeze. The sleeping city was oblivious to the invisible threat that would soon engulf its streets and homes, leaving behind a trail of death and despair. The gas moved swiftly, infiltrating homes, schools and hospitals, sparing no one in its path. The silence of the night was shattered by the sound of choking and coughing as the deadly gas, heavier than air, crept along the ground, seeping into homes and filling lungs with its deadly embrace. People awoke in terror, their throats burning, their eyes stinging, and their lungs struggling for air. Panic erupted as residents awoke to a nightmare, struggling to breathe, their eyes burning and their bodies racked with pain. The streets transformed into a chaotic sea of humanity as desperate residents, blinded by the gas and gasping for air, stumbled through the darkness, searching for safety and relief. The cries of children, the wails of mothers, and the desperate shouts of fathers filled the air, creating a symphony of despair. The streets transformed into a chaotic sea of humanity as desperate residents, blinded by the gas and gasping for air, stumbled through the darkness, searching for safety and relief. The once peaceful city was now a scene of utter chaos, with people running in all directions, trying to escape the invisible killer that was the gas. The air was thick with the smell of burning chili peppers, a chilling sensory detail that would forever be etched in the memories of the survivors. This pungent odor, mixed with the toxic gas, created an atmosphere of suffocating dread. Survivors would later recount how the smell of chili peppers would haunt them for years, a constant reminder of that fateful night. The Bhopal Gas Tragedy, as it came to be known, was not a natural disaster, but a man-made catastrophe, a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of corporate negligence and the fragility of human life in the face of industrial greed. The tragedy exposed the dark side of industrialization, where profit was prioritized over safety, and human lives were considered expendable. The events of that fateful night would forever scar the city of Bhopal, leaving behind a legacy of death, disease, and environmental devastation. Thousands lost their lives, and countless others were left with debilitating health issues. The city itself was transformed, its streets and homes bearing the scars of the disaster. The tragedy serves as a chilling reminder of the importance of industrial safety, corporate responsibility, and the urgent need to prioritize human life over profit. It underscores the need for stringent safety measures, regular inspections, and a culture of accountability within industries. The Bhopal Gas Tragedy is a lesson for all, a stark warning of what can happen when safety is compromised for the sake of profit. The deadly cloud unleashing methyl isocyanate. The heart of the Bhopal disaster lay in a leak of methyl isocyanate, a highly toxic chemical used in pesticide production. This chemical, often abbreviated as MIC, was a crucial component in the manufacturing process of various pesticides, which were intended to protect crops from pests and increase agricultural yields. However, the very substance designed to protect plants turned into a deadly weapon against humans. Stored in large quantities at the Union Carbide plant, MIC is a volatile substance reacting violently with water and posing severe health risks upon exposure. The storage tanks, designed to hold this dangerous chemical, were supposed to be equipped with multiple safety systems to prevent any accidental release. However, the maintenance and operational protocols at the plant were far from adequate. On that fateful night, water entered a storage tank containing MICC, triggering a runaway chemical reaction. This accidental ingress of water was the result of a combination of poor maintenance, faulty equipment, and inadequate safety measures. The water and MIC reacted violently, producing a large amount of heat and gas. The temperature and pressure inside the tank soared, overwhelming the safety systems meant to prevent such a catastrophe. The safety systems, which included refrigeration units to keep the MIC cool and scrubbers to neutralize any escaping gas, were either malfunctioning or turned off to save costs. As a result, the situation quickly spiraled out of control. As the pressure inside the tank reached critical levels, a safety valve designed to release excess pressure ruptured, spewing a deadly cloud of MIC into the atmosphere. The release was sudden and massive, with tons of toxic gas escaping into the night air, carried by the wind towards the densely populated areas surrounding the plant. The gas, heavier than air, quickly blanketed the surrounding areas, reaching homes and engulfing unsuspecting residents as they slept. The dense cloud of MIC moved silently and swiftly, seeping into homes through windows and doors, catching people completely off guard. Many were awakened by the burning sensation in their eyes and throats, but it was already too late for most. The effects of MIC exposure were immediate and devastating. People began to cough uncontrollably, their eyes burning and their lungs filling with fluid. The gas caused severe irritation to the mucous membranes, leading to intense pain and panic among the residents. The gas, upon contact, burned the skin and eyes, causing severe respiratory distress, vomiting, and a burning sensation in the throat. The immediate symptoms were just the beginning of the horror as the gas continued to wreak havoc on the bodies of those exposed. Many people collapsed in the streets, unable to breathe, while others tried desperately to flee the area. Many victims died within hours of exposure, their lungs filled with fluid, suffocating in the open air. Hospitals were quickly overwhelmed with the sheer number of patients, many of whom were beyond help by the time they arrived. The medical staff, unprepared for such a large-scale chemical disaster, did their best to provide relief. But the scale of the tragedy was simply too great. The chemical chaos unleashed that night had far-reaching consequences, extending beyond immediate casualties. The environmental impact was severe, with the toxic gas contaminating the soil and water sources in the area. The local ecosystem was disrupted, and the long-term health effects on the population were only beginning to be understood. The long-term health effects of MIC exposure continue to plague survivors to this day. Many of those who survived the initial exposure have developed chronic health conditions, including respiratory illnesses, neurological disorders, and various forms of cancer. The psychological trauma of the event has also left deep scars on the community. Chronic respiratory illnesses, eye problems, neurological disorders, and birth defects in children born to exposed parents are just some of the devastating consequences of that night. The survivors continue to struggle with their health, often lacking access to adequate medical care and support. The legacy of the disaster is a constant reminder of the need for vigilance and safety in industrial operations. The Bhopal Gas Tragedy stands as a grim testament to the destructive power of industrial chemicals and the importance of stringent safety measures to prevent such disasters. It serves as a stark reminder of the potential consequences of negligence and the critical need for robust safety protocols in the handling and storage of hazardous materials. The memory of that night continues to drive efforts to improve industrial safety standards worldwide, ensuring that such a tragedy never happens again. Seeds of disaster, negligence and cost-cutting. The Bhopal Gas Tragedy was not an unavoidable accident, it was a disaster waiting to happen. The seeds of this catastrophe were sown long before the fateful night of December 2nd, 1984. A series of negligent practices, safety lapses, and cost-cutting measures by Union Carbide created a perfect storm for tragedy. The company's disregard for safety protocols and its relentless pursuit of profit maximization set the stage for one of the worst industrial disasters in history. The company, driven by profit maximization, had implemented several cost-cutting measures that directly compromised the safety of the plant. These measures were not just minor adjustments, they were significant reductions that left the plant vulnerable to catastrophic failure. These measures included reducing the number of skilled workers, neglecting crucial maintenance, and ignoring the deteriorating condition of the plant's infrastructure. The machinery was rusted and corroded, a clear indication of the neglect that had become the norm, and shutting down safety systems to save money. The control room, which should have been the nerve center of the plant's safety operations, was often left with inactive monitors and outdated equipment. One of the most glaring oversights was the deactivation of the plant's refrigeration unit, crucial for keeping the volatile MIC at a safe temperature. This unit was essential for preventing the highly reactive chemical from reaching dangerous temperatures. This decision, driven by cost-cutting, proved fatal as it allowed the temperature inside the tank to rise uncontrollably, contributing to the runaway reaction. The lack of proper temperature control was a ticking time bomb, waiting to explode. Furthermore, the flare tower, designed to burn off escaping gas, was left inoperable, rendering it useless in mitigating the disaster. This critical piece of safety equipment was supposed to act as a last line of defense, but it was neglected and left to decay. The water washing system meant to neutralize any leaked gas was also non-functional, adding to the series of failures that led to the tragedy. This system was designed to act quickly in case of a leak, but it was rendered useless due to lack of maintenance. The company's negligence extended beyond equipment failure. It permeated every aspect of the plant's operations, from the training of workers to the maintenance of critical safety systems. Alarm systems designed to warn residents of a gas leak were either malfunctioning or deliberately switched off to avoid causing panic. This decision was made without considering the catastrophic consequences of leaving the population unprotected. This lack of warning meant that residents were caught completely off guard, with no time to flee or take shelter from the deadly cloud engulfing their city. The panic and chaos that ensued were a direct result of the company's failure to prioritize human life over profit. The Bhopal Gas Tragedy stands as a stark reminder of the human cost of corporate greed and the devastating consequences of prioritizing profit over safety. It is a somber lesson in the importance of stringent safety measures and the ethical responsibility companies have towards their workers and the communities they operate in.